and welcome to Crumbs Doilies HQ, where today I'm going to be showing you how to make a real classic of a cake. This is going to be a marble cake, and when I was a kid, marble cake reminded me of like marble fairy cakes. It was a little bit naff, but I'm going to show you a really classy way to do a marble cake. This is going to be a kind of brick cake, and I'm also going to give it an ombre coating of icing, so it's very, very special. So I'm going to start by making the batter. There's going to be two batters, a vanilla one and a chocolate one, which obviously we're going to marble together. So starting with the vanilla one, because if you make vanilla first and then chocolate, then you don't have to wash up in between. So I'm going to start by beating my butter and my sugar together. I've got 250 grams of very soft unsalted butter and 250 grams of caster sugar. And I'm just going to pop that on my mixer and get it going at a medium-high speed, and I want to beat this until it's really pale and fluffy, and that'll take about 5 minutes. Okay, this is looking pretty good now, so it's time to put the eggs in, and I've got 4 large free-range eggs. I'm going to add them one at a time and beat for about a minute after each one. And that is my eggs all taken care of. So now I just need to put my flour in. So I have 250 grams of flour. I'm going to sift that straight in over the top of the eggs, just to make it a little bit lighter. And then whack that on and fold it in on quite a low speed, just to combine it. And while that's mixing, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract to 3 tablespoons of whole milk. And when this is all combined, which it is, just pour that straight in. So that is my batter ready, my vanilla batter, and now I'm going to get on with making the chocolate batter. And this is exactly the same as the vanilla method, except that I'm going to replace 35 grams of the flour with 35 grams of cocoa powder. So that's my batters both ready, and now it's time to get marbling. So I have 2 trays here, 2 baking trays. They are 12 by 10 inches, and I've greased and lined them. If you've got a really massive tray, you could use 1 tray, but I like to use 2 because it's a bit more manageable. So it's important to get an even amount of batter in. So I'm going to kind of dollop it in one at a time, and I'm going to be dolloping kind of randomly, because afterwards I will kind of wiggle it through to create the marble effect. So I'll do a couple of chocolate, and then I'll go onto my vanilla. You can then level it out in a similar way that you would normally using a palette knife. Just try not to smush the colours too much together. And now that my cake batter is basically level, I'm just going to use my palette knife to wiggle through the batter, kind of dragging some of the chocolate into the vanilla and some of the vanilla into the chocolate. I don't want to go crazy here because I don't want to end up with a kind of brown murky mess. And now all I need to do is bake these at 170 degrees C for 20 to 24 minutes. They're going to be ready when you stick a skewer in and it comes out clean. While my cakes are baking in the oven, I'm going to get on with making my buttercream. And I'm going to make 1 batch of icing, but I'm going to split it into 2, which is a really handy tip. It means you save a bit of time and a little bit of washing up. So I'm going to start by beating 330 grams of soft unsalted butter. As usual, I'll be doing this on quite a high speed because I want to make it nice and pale and fluffy. Now, butter does take a little while to get to this point, the point that you need it to be light and fluffy, about 5 minutes. So don't rush your buttercream, otherwise you're going to end up with a really stodgy buttercream. So now it's ready. I'm going to add my 750 grams of icing sugar, but in 2 stages, and I'm going to beat for about 3 or 4 minutes after each stage to make sure it's really nice and light. All right, that's all my icing sugar in. Now I need to add 6 tablespoons of whole milk. And then once it's all in, turn up the speed. All right then. So obviously, as I mentioned, this is 1 batter which is going to be split into 2 flavours, vanilla and chocolate, to go with our cake. So I'm going to just remove half of the icing, roughly half. It doesn't have to be exact, but if you want to get your measuring scales out, I'm all for it. So I'm just going to pop roughly half into another bowl. And with the remaining half, I'm going to keep that on the mixer, and I'm going to add some melted dark chocolate. I've got about 100 grams. And I'm just going to mix that, pour that right in and mix it up really good. So that's my chocolate taken care of, and it smells amazing. And with the vanilla, all I need to do is put 1/4 teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract into my icing and just mix it up really well. And it's as simple as that. So that's my 2 icings ready to go. I'm just going to cover these and wait for my cakes to bake and cool down, and then it's going to be decorating time. My cakes are cool, and they are looking pretty cool as well. They're all marbly on the top. I've actually just leveled the tops off using a serrated knife, this guy, just to make sure none of the caramellization's on the top. And now I'm going to cut them into kind of rectangle shapes. So I'm going to put one on top of the other because I want these to be exactly the same size. Otherwise we're going to have a very uneven cake in the middle. I'm using this really snazzy cake lifting thing, but you could use a little tray or something flat. So start by trimming the edges off, again, just to get rid of any caramelization. And I've buried my ruler, but I have got a ruler here because I want to go right in the middle of these two so that I then have 4 completely even size pieces. So that's now 4 very straight, very nice bits of cake that I'm going to start building up. I'm just going to clear the decks a little bit. Right, let's build this thing up. So I'm going to start by putting it on a turntable. Even though it's not round, it is going to make it a little bit easier just in case I need to move it at all. And also, I'm putting on this snazzy but very heavy marble board, so I don't want to be lifting that too much. So turntable for spinning. To start with, just get a bit of buttercream on that just to help the cake stick to the board. And then put your first piece on, and obviously try and get it in the middle. So give it a little wiggle in case it's not in the middle, and press it down just to make sure it's stuck. And now you can start building. So I'm going to start with chocolate icing, and I'm going to do a layer of chocolate, a layer of vanilla, and another layer of chocolate. So that's my cake filled, and now it needs an all-important crumb coat. Because we're then going to give it a nice fancy layer of icing, but it needs to be nice and smooth all over, so crumb coat it and refrigerate it. And that is my crumb coated cake, and that needs to be stuck in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour just for it to set. Right, my cake is chilled and it is nice and set, and you might notice that I now have 4 bowls with icing in. I've actually used my vanilla and my chocolate to create 2 new shades, a slightly darker and a slightly lighter chocolate. So now I'm going to start building up my ombre, and I've actually done this on my triple rainbow video. So if you want to see a little bit more detail about how it's done, go and check that out. It's a really fun one. So I'm starting with my dark chocolate on the bottom because I want to go up to white at the top. So I'm going all the way around with a thick layer of that using my little palette knife. And once you've got all your icing on, you then need to smooth it out. I'm using my very flat, very straight cake scraper. And it's important not to dig too deep, but also to smooth it out and clean your cake scraper because you've got a lot of icing there. So I'm just wiping it onto this paper here. And as you can see, it's gone really nice. It's like a real gradation, if that's a word, of the icing colours. And here is my almost finished ombre marble cake, looking really elegant and classy. But I'm going to keep things improving by, first of all, drizzling it with a little bit of ganache. You can just use melted chocolate if you want, it's super easy. I'm going to just drizzle a little bit on there. Ooh, that looks great. You can go a lot more with your wiggles of ganache if you want, but I'm going to keep it simple because I've got some extra decorations to put on. I've actually made these really cute little marble and chocolate dotty bits of chocolate to put on, chocolate shards, and I'm going to try and make a video for how to make those because I know you're all going to want to know, and I'll try and put that up next week. But for now, I'm just going to stick these in the top all along the middle. And there is the finished cake, looking really cool, really grown up marble cake, but all the action is going on inside, so I think I better have a slice. Woo! That looks really, really yummy. I think I better have a piece now though, because I don't know if I can wait till the end of the video. Super soft, lovely balance of chocolate and vanilla. That is a winning cake. And I do hope you make it. It looks really cool, so if you do make it, take a picture of it, put it up on Instagram or Twitter and tag me at Cupcake Jemma or using the hashtag Cupcake Jemma as well, that'll do too. I'll be back soon with another recipe. In the meantime, don't forget to check out my merch over at cupcakejemma.com. We've launched some new stuff, so make sure you check that out and get your hands on a few little bits and pieces, and I will see you very soon. Bye.